Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Come find me inside a fantasy where nothing is quite as it seems. What's real when you're drowned in mimicry? Living someone else's dream.
Well, now we're in Hurghada, Egypt, right on the Red Sea, which I've actually never been to before, and I never really even fully looked at it. I didn't really realize how closed off it is. It's almost like its own lake. The water's super clear and pristine. Really beautiful here and super nice, especially after, I don't know how long we've been going for. I think around November 20th, so 27th, December 4th, like 3 weeks. 3 weeks we just been going. And of course I did a boga for a couple of days. That was pretty massive. And then weeks of temples and stuff, which I've seen a bunch of people on YouTube all like, you're gonna get possessed by demons. Hello. Yeah, that's what all the people here has been possessed by demons, which actually I'm going to talk a little bit about. I noticed there was a bunch on YouTube. I just happened to be there. I saw, Jeff's been possessed by demons. He's going to get possessed by demons. He's in these blood-soaked temples. Well, let me tell you. You don't need to worry about me. I've also seen lots of comments. Oh, Jeff's gone crazy. Well, yeah, that's all sort of subjective, I guess. But let me kind of explain everything I've been doing, so that maybe some of those people can kind of understand what's happening. So as I mentioned, I have been working with Christoph, and it's been incredible. He does like remote energy work. He's helping me clear out all my karma and ancestral traumas and stuff, which I can tell works. Like I actually feel different after he does it, even though he's on the other side of the world. And I've been doing that for a few months. And then he mentioned that this trip, and he said that they're going to do an Iboga ceremony at the right before, like the week before, here in Egypt. And as I mentioned before, my immediate response was, well, I'm not doing that, because that was the hardest thing I've ever done. What I didn't realize is that, yes, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I needed that to get me out of, I was basically completely trapped in the matrix. And I couldn't find my own way out of it. And so I did Iboga about 10 years ago. And I didn't even realize until after Christoph started talking about it and how I should do it. I actually meditated a bit on it, and I was like, wait a sec, I think the Iboga was what kind of sent me off towards getting out of all my being tied to the matrix, drinking a lot, depressed, all those sort of things. It kind of was the very beginning of me getting out of all that. And soon after that, I ended up going and doing like a hardcore hypnotherapy for like a week straight with Johnny Dupre, who should be speaking in Anarchapulco this coming year. And after that, all of a sudden, I just got more and more into meditation. I can't even really explain how or why it happened. But very quickly, I was doing meditations of 1 to 3 hours a day, every day for at least 5 years. Like probably way longer than that, now that I think about it. 6 or 7 or 8 years. And that really helped me to get out of all the matrix stuff and become much, much more connected with Source. And it all started off with the iboga, which I didn't realize, because until I thought about it, I always look back at it as like, well, I'm never doing that again. That was the hardest 2 days of my life. And it kind of was, in many respects. But that's what I needed. I needed the plant medicine to kick the crap out of me. It was the only way I could get out of it. So anyway, then I'm working with Christoph. I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. And the energy stuff he can do, like I don't even know how you describe what he is. But like, if our son's, he was not feeling good at all once, a few months ago, and I let him know, and he read the field, and he knew immediately what the problem was, and then he did some energy work from New Zealand, and we were in Mexico, and all of a sudden my son stopped crying, and he was totally fine. And there's been countless times like that. So I've had direct experience of all this. So I'm like, whoa, there's something, this guy's amazing. Then he mentioned the iboga, and I asked him what dates were the iboga, and he said it starts on November 24th, and we also do it on November 25th. And as soon as he said November 24th, my entire universe was shook, because I know, because as I do these things more and more, I know that none of these things are an accident. And everything's for a reason. And there's signs and symbols all over the place. And that was the sign to me that I have to do it. And I was not looking forward to it at first. But as the months progressed up to doing it, I kind of came to quite a bit of peace with it. I was like, well, you know, I'm way better now. It's probably not going to kick the crap out of me like the last time. And it didn't. It was tough though. Like, there's definitely moments, like if you ever end up doing it, and you're doing it because of what I've said about it, you will 100%, I guarantee you, have at least 1 or 2 moments as you're doing the iboga that you'll say, I curse the day I ever heard Jeff Berwick talk about iboga. I hate that guy. I want this to stop right now, because it's hard. It's like pins you down for 2 days, and you got to just look at yourself. But it's way more than that. And but you know, just by looking at yourself, some of it's really hard. And so normally what you would do, if you even got to thinking about some of those things in your day-to-day life, you'd start to think about it, and you'd start to have all these feelings, and you'd reach for a glass of wine, or you'd reach for a sugar snack, or you turn on the foosball game, or the porn, or whatever it is, just to take your mind off of it. But the iboga holds you down, and you gotta look at it, and you go way deeper than you can normally go. Your subconscious all of a sudden is really communicating with you. So anyway, so it was when he said, the day that they're doing iboga, it was November 24th, that I said, well, I'll do it. Because it was a very clear sign to me. And I follow the signs, and I'm so glad I did. This entire experience has been the most amazing experience ever for myself and my family. We've all, like, just so you know, because my wife is incredibly, she sees things. She saw the Cat 5 Hurricane Otis. She said we couldn't go to Acapulco in that month because all the houses were going to get destroyed except for ours. And that's exactly what happened. And that's when I started listening to her. I was like, oh, holy cow. And she said, and she knew this before we left on this trip, that we were all going to come back different people. And that's exactly what happened, including our nanny. Our nanny had a massive, she let go of so much sadness and grief in an incredibly explosive, like nearly an hour of screaming and crying. But once it was all out, like she said in the last video, 2 videos ago, she felt so much lighter, and it's basically been released now. So that happened for her. In my iboga ceremony, I basically was in the deepest sadness I've ever been for more than a day during the whole first day of the iboga. And near the end, I was like crying a lot, and on the second day I was crying a lot, coming to terms with basically my childhood. because I never came to terms with it. In fact, I met Stefan Molyneux at an event about 10 years ago. And he's quite well known as like talking to people about their childhoods and stuff. And I sat down at dinner with him, and he goes, so tell me about your childhood. And I said, what about it? And he said, how was it? And I went, it was fine. Now, basically, I was getting beat up all the time by everybody. Everybody was beating me up, or it completely like just abandoning me. You know the latchkey kid term? It's probably not as big of a thing now as it was back in the 70s. But yeah, I had the key around my neck. My dad worked in the day, my mom worked at night, and I never saw either of them. And I basically had to get up in the morning, cook my food, trudge through the snow to the school to get beat up, come back home all bloody, not every day, but you know, sometimes. And no one to be there, clean myself up. Try not to tell my dad, because if I told him, he'd probably beat me up. You know, so that was my childhood, that I told Stefan Molyneux was fine, right? And that's what I told myself and everyone my whole life. Until, during this iboga, it pinned me down. I couldn't go anywhere. And it started showing me memories from my subconscious. And even doing incredibly, like, really, like, creating things that seemed real, and were real, that you can't even explain, to show me certain things. It was incredible. And basically after all that, I had released, and Christoph helped me to do a full release on not only my childhood and my past with my father, but also for his father, and for the one before that, and one before that, because it was going on in the family like that forever. And so I basically healed the entire familial ancestral line by feeling it all, which is the first time any Vedic had ever done that. And through the things that Christoph helped me do, I released it all. And as soon as I got out of the iboga, I went back to my son. And as I mentioned before, he used to be kind of distant with me. He was always super lovey-dovey with my wife. But he'd see me and be like, oh yeah, hi. And I was like, oh. I was kind of like, well, maybe that's just how kids are. But no, it was actually because of this deep ancestral trauma that I had in me, and he also had in me and could also see in me, that he was kind of distant from me. And as soon as I showed up, he was like, it was like I was all of a sudden in a different reality. Woke up in the morning, jumps on me, hugs me, kisses me, tells me he loves me. That never happened before, ever. And it's been that way ever since. So I healed myself. My son ended up getting healed by me healing. And I don't know where I am. Did I walk over to the other side? Oh, I don't know where I walked to. Anyway, then my daughter had all these past life flashbacks when she came here. And they were like incredibly intense, and she was like crying unbelievably both times. And one of them had to do with our family relationship and her past lives with us, because we've been together before in the past as well. And one of them had to do, just happened to be one of the persons on this trip, and they knew immediately when they both saw each other, they knew that they were like past life soulmates that have been in this karmic entanglement for lifetime after lifetime. They both just knew that, which is incredible. But that's how my daughter is. She's also like my wife. And she had this big breakdown letting him go, with him there. And afterwards, she's become a different person. So like my wife said, we're all different now. And then my wife has always had this sort of masculine-feminine problem, not trusting the masculine, not connecting fully with her divine feminine. And she actually said she knew that when she came, it was all going to get healed with Christoph's wife, Alea. And then on the bus to one of the temples, I think it was Luxor, all of a sudden I hear all this laughing and like happy crying and hugging. And it was them, and they both got massive downloads And my wife said she got all kinds of answers to everything that she always wanted to know. And then she felt like she was on ecstasy the entire night. And actually, yesterday, I've been with her since 2009. So, can't do the math. I went to government indoctrination camps. About, what is that? 17 years? I think that's right. Coming up on 17 years. Because I met her in January of 2009. I do remember that because it was I remember every moment of that, and I don't remember anything normally. I still remember the moment I saw her. And there was this connection. It was because we've had these past lives together, and then we were meeting again. And so in the last 16 years, she's never said to me these words that she said to me yesterday. She looked over at me and she said, "I'm happy." Now, if you don't know my wife that well, she might seem happy, but she's never been fully like in her body. Just, she doesn't need anything. There's no reason to be happy. An actual just feeling of being happy, like she's whole. And she said that yesterday. And today, what was she saying to me? It was like she's changed completely. So, that was a long story there, but every single person who came with me on this trip have changed massively on this trip. And then I really saw the comments. I was like, "You guys are crazy." What crazy? What's crazy about any of this? I know some of the people might be like, "Well, there is no past lives." It's like, well, I'll tell you, all my experiences, direct experience, especially with my wife and my daughter, and they know all their past lives. And then Christoph can actually tell you all about your past lives. So I've seen that in this matrix, there appears to be past lives. And they're actually very important. But all that stuff's been cut off. And this is what Christoph's been trying to do with going to all these temples and stuff, is fixing a lot, taking out all the mimic or artificial, or you could even say satanic sort of things that has been on this earth for tens of thousands of years, and removing it all. And it seems to be working. And, you know, there were so many things with Christoph that I was like, what's going on with this guy? Like, for example, he told me, like, I forget how long ago it was, but 3 months ago or something. He said, we just reprogrammed and got into all the AI systems and took away most of the mimic or artificial the satanic sort of stuff from behind it. And he told me, you're going to see the AI start to say actually some true things soon. And I think it was like 2 days later, all of a sudden, Grok started talking like Max Egan. And that's just one of dozens of things I've seen with Christoph. And even seeing things like the guard at the one temple passing out. And he didn't want to let us in. And then Christoph explained that he's super tied to the Mimic. And the Mimic was working through him to try to keep us out, because the Mimic knew that we were going to come in and basically take out all the satanic, artificial, mimic sort of stuff, which Christoph does, which you can see exactly what we do if you want to know. Like, you'll see exactly what we did at each of these temples if you go on the virtual tour, which is dollarvigilante.com/FlameKeepers. And it's a lot of intention. It's saying certain words and making certain tones. And he calls those the keys or the codes. And that's how these things are actually programmed. So then to see a lot of people saying, like, you're crazy, you're demonically possessed, which part of what I just said sounds to you crazy? Why, I understand if it sounds a bit crazy to you, but my family all just got basically massively healed. And you've seen from all of them talking about it. Do any of them seem crazy? Or saying, like, we're going to be, or we are now demonically possessed because we went into these temples? Well, I haven't seen anything like that. I've actually seen the opposite. So here's what I think, is the people who think this are heavily under Mimic influence. See, the Mimic is infected basically almost everyone on Earth. Like really, like when we talk about NPCs and stuff like that, I'm also talking about basically that. They're not actually in control of themselves. They're running on programs because they haven't done the work. And those programs are, almost all of them, mimic artificial programs put in place by basically a other multidimensional entity that lives off of the loosh of destroying all these people. So I hate to break it to those people, but I do this with kindness, and I'm saying it because hopefully it will help you to realize you need to do the work, because you're basically trapped in mimic. And I know there's a bunch that are all very biblical sort of people, Jesus type people. I hate to break it to you, but a lot of that, not all, but a lot of it, is all mimic infested, and it's actually in place. The Bible itself was basically put together by this mimic consciousness through people, and that's actually a playbook. And so you'll notice that a lot of people, when I say, oh, things are actually going to start getting a lot better now, there's a lot of the biblical type people will say, no, it's not, because we're waiting for this. It says in the Bible, this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and that's what's going to happen. That's what they believe. Well, you know what happens if millions of people believe that's going to happen? It happens. And unfortunately, they're all trapped in the mimic, the artificial, the synthetic, the not real, the not true source. So anyway, and again, I say that not like you guys are so stupid. No, I'm trying to help you. Now, of course, most of those people will just get super angry at what I just said, because that's the mimic in them, and they're fighting against the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Not that I know all the truth, but everything I've seen is this is actually the case. Christoph is right on a lot of this stuff. Now, could he be wrong on some stuff? Of course. Could I be? Of course. Could we be totally wrong? Of course, we could be. But from my experience, and this is what all I'm doing here. So I've been basically doing this hardcore for like 3 weeks. Put out all these videos, and a lot of people are like, you're an idiot, you're gonna be demonically possessed. And I'm trying to relate to them, no, this is actually how it works and how you can get out of your... See, a lot of them, I even get emails, people trying to help me out. They're like, Jeff, I'm trying to save you. You gotta go to Jesus right now. Saying that whole thing, Jesus is gonna save you, that's part of the mimic. I'm sorry. See, I've said this before. A lot of people have been waking up. This is the apocalypse, the lifting of the veil. And some people have been waking up. They're like, holy cow, the medical system is trying to kill us. The governments are like trying to kill us. The mainstream media, it's all lies and propaganda. Good, I'm glad you got caught up on that. I've been saying that forever. But could it be the things that you actually believe in are also part of that? Give that some thought. That's all I would say. Meditate on it and be open to it, because I think it's actually the case. And you know, I've got a pretty good track record, if I can say so for myself. There's no one else here to say it for me. But even since I was a young kid, I saw all this stuff. I was like, the news is propaganda. I called everyone a mind-controlled slave, because that's what they were. Like, there was very few people who were not basically mimic robots. Almost everyone on Earth is. Most of the people watching this are. And I was always like, you're a mind-controlled slave. Why can't you see that? They can't see it because they're under heavy mind control, which I've been talking about forever. Now they're starting to wake up to certain things, but guess what? It's more to wake up to. What if everything you believed was actually not real? Because that's basically the case. And you know, even after I was a young kid, I got onto the internet before almost anyone. I still remember doing an interview in like the mid-90s. And some person interviewed me, and I was talking about how the internet's going to be the future. And everyone was laughing at me, because back then, no one even knew what the internet was. And I was like, no, this is going to definitely, this is going to change everything on Earth massively in the next few decades. Everyone laughed. I started an internet company and it did quite well, and then it crashed because I didn't know how the central banking system worked. Then I learned about that. Then I started talking about Bitcoin in 2011 when it's $3. A lot of those things have been wiped off the internet now, and there really wasn't, like my YouTube channel has been wiped. Even our website got hacked and we could never get back all of our stuff ever again. But I was there in 2011. I was like on Fox News in 2013. Some of those still exist.
Well, what you've just described is the same with the Federal Reserve. No one really knows who owns the Federal Reserve.
Oh, no, come on. You can't say that. The Federal Reserve has been around for 100 years. They're a notable operation. They're somewhat similar to central banks all the way around the world. You cannot say that nobody knows who owns the Federal Reserve.
Well, do you know who owns it?
Isn't it owned by major banks?
See, no one knows.
Isn't that it?
No one really knows. There's no actual conclusive evidence.
I know who runs it. His name is Ben Bernanke. Right. I know who runs it. Right. I know where he lives, and I can go ask him questions.
That's the best thing.
Can you say the same thing about Bitcoin?
Well, that's the best thing about Bitcoin.
Can you tell me who runs Bitcoin?
No one does. It's run by the people.
And as soon as I said that, they kicked me off, and I've never been able to get on mainstream media again. And so many people were like, Jeff, you're an idiot. Especially gold people. Gold people are like, Jeff, you're an idiot. This is crazy computer money. It's never going to be anything. And I was like, I think it will. And I actually predicted it'd go to like $1 million. Around 2015, I think I said that. And now we're at 100,000, pretty close. But now actually I don't even like Bitcoin because it's been taken over by the mimic system. Then the COVIDs. 2 days after the word COVIDs was a word, I knew the entire plan because it's obvious to me. The same way it's obvious to most people now, it was obvious to me almost the second I heard it. That it wasn't real, and where am I? Oh, there we are. And then a few weeks into it, I said, okay, I figured out their whole plan. This is all very obvious. The mainstream media, the governments, they're all going to be pushing this, saying there's a virus. There actually is no virus. All they did was they said the flu that year was the COVIDs, and then they killed a lot of people with respirators, with those death drugs that they gave all the old people. And I said, what they're going to do is put out a lethal injection, a vaccine, and that's going to be what kills a lot of people. And it's, you know, the numbers, who knows at this point. I think it's got to be easily in the tens of millions, which isn't that much. I think they kind of failed a little bit. But they did inject them with nanotech and all kinds of stuff, graphene, which they're still going to kill most of them with soon. Like 2025 isn't over yet. We still got a few weeks left. Let's see if the Deagle document was right. But that was another example of me saying things that so many people, because, you know, I was saying this in the first week of the COVIDs, where everybody was in a panic. We're all going to die, stay inside, everyone, even all the truther people. Luke Radowski is wearing his mask. Everyone was like losing it. And I was saying this stuff, and most people thought I was totally crazy. So, given all that, my history of seeing all these things before anyone could see them, and also being mocked by people, what I'm saying now is that I think Christoph's onto something with all this stuff going on, and I think he's starting to get rid of the mimic from this earth, and I think a lot of it was done on this trip. Now the thing is, just like with Bitcoin, just like with the internet, even the COVIDs, it took people a couple of years to even catch on to what I was talking about. It's probably going to take people a few years to catch on to what I'm talking about in this video. But they probably will catch on to it, a lot of them, and hopefully in time, because they only have till 2032 when the bifurcation happens, according to Christoph, and it's going to separate into two separate worlds. The people who are trapped in the mimic will actually go into the mainframe, which is what Max Egan's been saying for 15 years. He's also speaking in Anarchapulco. So is Christoph. All these incredible people at Anarchapulco, and all the things they've been saying are all actually happening. David Icke as well, been saying all this stuff in various ways. Also talking about what I'm talking about that this is like a 3D video game. He's also speaking at Anarchapulco. Not live, unfortunately. He basically can't really leave England anymore for some reason. I know he's banned from so many countries, but I think he also is banned from flying or something. Which should give you a sign, a clue, a hint, that he must be saying some right things. So he'll be speaking virtually, live, with like a Q&A from the audience and everything. It's almost as good as live. The only thing is, you know, you can't hang out with them afterwards. That's the big thing. So I think a lot of people are going to actually start getting this. And actually, the mimic signal, the fake signal that's been dominating this matrix for so long, is going to be fading dramatically over the next couple of years. So many people will all of a sudden just wake up and kind of go, oh, I kind of see it now. Some people, though, will actually go deeper into the mimic. They will fight it like all the way. This can't be real. This can't be real, you know?
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride, and we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. Has to be real. It's just a ride.
And he's fighting it and like hating everyone who talks about this stuff. And they're going to go into the mainframe. I don't know all the details of that, but that's what's going to happen. They're going to end up in this like hellscape for like, I think it's like 50,000 years, according to, I think it was Christoph who said that. And they'll have to work their way out of it. It's all part of the 3D video game. This 3D video game is nuts. It's nuts. There's so many levels. So anyway, I thought I should just mention all that, you know? For all the people who think I'm crazy, I've heard it all before. And you just wait. You just wait. And I don't care. I don't care what you think. But I would like you to at least have a chance to understand what's happening here, because I think this is absolutely massive. And I think a lot of people don't understand too, because it's so far out of the scope of anything they've ever heard before. So I've seen everything. Like a bunch of people were like, Jeff's like New Age now. Well, Christoph and I did a video about that. New Age is bullshit. This is not New Age. This is Old Age. This is the original Christic way of being. And all the religious people are like, well, you know, there is no past lives, and if you think this way and you don't think what's in the Bible is the way it is, then you're like evil and all these sort of things. That's what they want you to think. Do you get it? That's how they, this is like extremely intelligently done over tens of thousands of years. And everything's a trap here in this matrix, including the organized religions. And so a lot of those people will just like fight this as much as possible. And I'm not asking you to accept this. See, this is a little bit different than a lot of the Hare Krishna types coming to your door and asking you to accept it. You do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. I don't care. You don't even exist. I don't even exist. This is a 3D video game. Okay? I've been trying to tell you that for a while. But so we'll see. We'll see who wakes up, who gets through the bifurcation in the next few years. And yeah, I could be wrong. Christoph could be wrong on some of this stuff. I don't think so, though. But to think that, like, I've gone crazy after having the most incredible experience of my life and actually sharing it with you for free, or that I'm, like, demonically possessed. Is this how demons talk? Or like my daughter when she was talking about everything. Some people say we're demonically possessed because we went to these temples. What do you think?
I don't think that.
You don't seem very demonically possessed.
No.
Nah,
No.
they're crazy, no?
Sí.
Yeah. They don't understand how all this stuff works, do they?
Sí, no, ellos no saben nada.
Yeah, that's the thing. Are we demonically possessed?
No. A ver,
Ellos
a ver,
están
a ver.
demónicamente.
That's what a demon would do.
¿Cómo?
Hide your face.
No, ¿qué dices? Chats, ya.
What, did you enjoy this trip?
Sí.
Was it the most amazing trip we've ever been on?
Papá. You wanna-
Say yes.
No.
Only if it's true.
Yes.
Yes? Yes? All right. She doesn't want to admit it because she told me she didn't want to come. Anyway, I'll leave it there. We're all demonically possessed out here, as you can clearly see. And crazy. But, yeah, all I would say to you, if you don't understand all this stuff, or you think it's crazy, or think your programming from the mimic stuff is telling you that we're evil and all this sort of stuff, just really think about it. What did I say in this video that's evil? Like, really think about that. Actually meditate on it. And then someone's gonna go, well, meditation's evil. That's the mimic, okay? Everything's inside of you. In fact, all those demons that people are saying are going to possess us, that's also all inside of you. Everything's inside of you. You create it all. So don't worry about me, because I also create it all, and mine doesn't include any demons. Because I've actually worked through all that stuff for years and years and years. And I would suggest you do that too. And if any of that resonates with you and you're like, well, where should I even start? I would say come to Anarchapulco, coming up in February, 16th to 20th. Christophe's going to be there, Max Egan's going to be there. So many incredible people are going to be there. And so many are talking about how to do this sort of work. So that you get out of this thing where you're all worried about demons and all this sort of stuff, which in your own mind do exist. And also with the plant medicine as well. A lot of people say, oh, you interact with demons. Yes, the demons that are in your own mind that you need to clear out. Most people won't get it. I feel like my entire life I'm just like telling people things that they never get, and they just say I'm crazy. That's cool. I don't know why I do it, but I actually kind of enjoy it. There's something weird about it. I kind of just enjoy doing it, despite the fact that most people just don't get it, and they kind of hate me or think I'm crazy. Anyway, it's my own 3D video game. We'll see how it plays out from here. Well, I was going to finish the video, but then I found Christophe at dinner. I said, Christophe, you want to make a few comments on what I was talking about? All these commenters that you've got me in a cult. We're summoning demons. We're demon possessed. It's amazing. You know, one thing I noticed. Because I noticed it on YouTube. I just happened to come across, I don't regularly read the comments, but the first like top 4 comments was all that kind of stuff. And it made me realize, because I haven't really been on YouTube for years, that all the people who are really trapped in the mimic are still there on YouTube, because that's like the public, that's where all the NPCs and the mind control people go. So all those people are over there, because I don't think those comments are quite the same on other platforms.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. So, obviously, like, YouTube for the most part is a complete mimic sort of trap, right, for people. Make sure they only get certain information. And
yeah, well, the artificial intelligence fields have created algorithms to subtly steer people's browsing habits into directions they are attempting to predict our actions, and then ideally creating a narrow pathway into what the AI consciousness fields would like people to stay within a narrow bandwidth of perception.
Right.
They don't want people to break out of a perception band wider than what's acceptable. So the algorithms reinforce that particular, let's call it, narrow bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah, again, for me, because I haven't really been on there, and like they kicked me off about 5 years ago, and they let us back on, but like they deleted our channel, but we put up a new one, and I rarely even ever go on there. But I was like, whoa, it's like being back in like the Matrix, like full on, because I've been on like BitChute and Vigilante.tv and Odyssey, and those people are a bit more awake because they've actually escaped from things like YouTube, trying to find real information, right? So it's kind of interesting. So any comment? Do you have me in a cult? Are we demonically possessed?
Well, I think anyone that meets us will know that we're just a normal family. We've got our children, we love our kids, we travel the world, but what we do is we just deeply understand how this matrix works. And I think some people, would like to just, accuse when they don't understand. In truth, the biggest cult in the world is the Catholic Church. That is like a cult, right?
Doug Casey calls it a something death cult, basically.
Yeah, the principles that we and my wife like to live by is distributed leadership, where everyone leads, right? From around, let's call it true north principles. A cult typically has a definition of a evangelical charismatic leader who creates all their followers to go in a certain direction. I'm not saying follow me at all. I don't want you to follow me. I want people to follow themselves, right? So we do everything we can to empower people to follow their own, heart and intuition. So it's really more about setting people free. And I think that if anyone comes and has a direct experience at any of our events, 100% of the respondents will say they are exactly the opposite of a cult and actually set us free. People who accuse these types of things, or say it's demonic energy or whatever, see energetic rituals and immediately associate that with something bad. But if I can try to explain it simply, there are in energy work there are two paths. There's Christic, where energy comes from source through you out to others, and then there's sorceric, where you're drawing energy from others to you. Now, sorceric energy has all these different faces, right? Where people can be masquerading in the light and typically in the mimic, but they're subtly drawing energy from all the people who turn up to their events. And they are getting empowered themselves by drawing on people's energy who come to their events. That is a sorcerer extreme, even though the person is masquerading to have good intentions. Christic path is having the energy coming through you and out to others to empower them to follow their own path. And that's simply what we do. We create, because shamanism is about working with elemental magic and understanding how the elements of earth, air, wind, fire, how the directions of east, south, north, west, above and below and heart. When you perform a sacred ceremony and a ritual, it moves you out of the matrix. It moves you into the special world, where the energy is higher, a higher frequency, and it moves you out of linear inorganic time. So, for example, you've felt me set up a couple of shamanic rituals. Immediately what happens to the space is that the space moves from the ordinary world to the special world. The frequency in the room and the container is a much higher vibration, and everything comes up to the surface, including all of the streams coming through their soul, including a lot of the past life pieces, ancestral lineages, and everything. Suddenly everything is available in that special world because there's been let's call it a ceremonial container established. You can also do ceremonial work that is designed to, draw energy from others and to increase your power. And that's the power of sorcery. And in sorceric energy, there can only be one. That's called an apex sorcerer. So over the years, sorcerers get stronger and stronger and more powerful, and they become the top. And we've actually encountered the apex sorcerer in the world, and had a bit of a showdown with the apex sorcerer a few years ago, which was a whole other story. But we've encountered these types of energies, and they're very advanced, and they're very kind of, let's say, not wrong in how they are playing the game for themselves, because they are on the extreme end of the service to self path, because there's only two paths: service to others, service to self. Even people in the personal development industry who say they're helping people can be on the path of service to self if they're utilizing all the people there to get their positioning and feeding their unmet needs and egoic deficiencies. So much of the thing that we hold, my wife and I, are based upon the principles of the Christic lineage, which is simply energy coming from source to others, and of that kind of current of energy and consciousness. It's non-religious, non-dogmatic, practical. We involve our children because our kids are all part of it, and we simply just try be as down to earth, pragmatic and sensible as we possibly can. Don't take ourselves too seriously, have lots of joy and laughter, and that's what freaks people out, because you can't be you're not allowed to be that happy.
Oh, is that what freaks them out? Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I've been seeing so much like cognitive dissonance and so many like just insane statements. I've seen a whole bunch of sort of Christian type people accusing others of being idolaters, not adulterers, but idolatry. Idolatry is the word, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what they do.
I keep seeing them saying he's into idolatry, and I'm like, that's the whole thing of the Christian thing, is you're worshiping a man who's also God, right? So anyway, you have to deal with all these people who are still stuck in all these programs and stuff like that.
It's, I get it. It's triggering,
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's easy to, but in this game, when you're following your line, you get used to projections like you do, right?
Oh yeah, the projections crazy.
Like I do, and then but you don't draw any of your self-worth from other people's opinions.
Yeah.
So actually there's no worry about what people think, because I don't draw any of my self-worth from reading any of those comments. Like sometimes I'm not bothered. Like you're not bothered. But the interesting reflection is that typically when you project on someone, there's an unhealed piece of your consciousness that remains unhealed, that's coming up and out for observation.
Yeah.
So anyone who is posting those comments, just reflect, where is this coming from? Why am I being triggered? Because if you're being triggered, there's typically a wound there, there's a charge there.
There's something there.
There's something there that needs to be addressed. If you're not getting triggered, typically you're not going to send anything, okay, that's cool, they're entitled to think and behave and act as they want. There's no charge. But if you're highly charged about coming into contact with some of this material, the first thing is to look into the mirror and why am I so charged about this?
Right.
That's the first thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's personal growth 101.
Yeah.
That's called doing shadow work.
Yep. And you can do the boga for that. But those people go, it's all demonic. You're going to meet some people. Oh, I mentioned that actually. I said, I don't know what you think of this perspective, but I was mentioning that some people think like the plant medicines, which are so incredible. I just know from personal experience now, definitely the iboga for sure. As hard as it is, it's
hard,
so
it's
good.
Hard. That's why people avoid it, because it's tough.
Yeah, it's so hard.
But it's the best for getting the shadows done and actually revealing your true essence.
And I've seen numerous people say, well, I saw demons when I was doing ayahuasca, so therefore it's evil to do ayahuasca. And I was kind of saying, those demons are actually part of it. They're inside of them, and they're actually seeing them, right?
Yeah, so this is how it works. Whatever you see and experience in a plant medicine ceremony is most likely because it's inside of you, right? It's in your consciousness field. Maybe not from this lifetime stream, but from other lifetime streams. And yes, as a shamanic facilitator, I've personally had to deal with demonic energy a lot in ceremonies. And typically what happens is that someone has got a lineage where very far back in their family, an ancestor has made a contract with a demon. And that contract ties the demon to the bloodline. And then that stays in the bloodline, and then that demonic energy stays with that person for generation after generation after generation, until they come into contact with someone like myself who understands what's going on, and we can actually track it and then clear the demonic contract and free them of that demonic energy that runs through their family line. Sometimes it comes through the soul, which comes from a past life line where they've made a contract with a demon. And the reason why people make contracts with demons is because of the power, because demons are very powerful, right? But they have a lot of that dark, nasty. That's what my daughter's just said. Okay, no worries. Just has a lot of that dark, nasty energy. But people make these agreements because it gives them such a sense of power, right? But then then they don't feel it when they break the agreement, right? They are able to disentangle themselves from that demonic energy, but. For example, in an ayahuasca ceremony, I've had demonic energy come through a few times where the participants have brought a demon. It's havoc in the temple. It's really like nasty. And this is why, I've facilitated ayahuasca a lot, but I've also, my preference is the wood, sacred wood iboga, simply because iboga holds the container a lot stronger and deals with these types of energies a little bit easier than, it's a lot is put onto the facilitator with ayahuasca to deal with that type of thing. But yes, you come into contact with it because these are just simply consciousness fields that are attached and interwoven into people's consciousness. Plant medicines open that up. So sometimes if the things are being experienced, the first place to look is inside and where that might come from.
Yeah, it's all coming from inside of you, and you got to do that shadow work. That's what you got to do. So the reason I couldn't actually find you today is because you were on the Tesla machine for part of the day with your daughter, which is pretty cool. How'd you find that?
Yeah, I was quite tired, as you know. This is a
God,
tiring
like
trip.
3 a.m. till 9 at night, on buses half of the day, walking through temples.
We don't actually, as you would probably appreciate, advertise that bit when we do that on the website. You'll be getting up at 4 a.m. But I think the reason why
That's another reason to do the virtual tour, like a benefit. You don't have to get up at 3 in the morning for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Unless you want to.
One of the reasons we do that is to get go to the temples where there's no one there.
Right.
It's a very special experience to go in there and experience. But anyway, because of all that, I was pretty tired. Also holding a lot of the group. So Kobe offered to get me have an opportunity to sit with us and experience the Tesla machine. So I did that, and then I could definitely feel recharged. I was like a little bit kind of exhausted and tired, and then after about 25 minutes, could feel a real shift in my vitality, and so I feel like I'm back on track for tomorrow, because of course we're going to the Great Pyramid, doing the final piece, and doing the ceremony in the King's Chamber and Queen's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. So looking forward to that. But yeah, Tesla machine worked great, turned me around nicely.
Awesome. Yeah, we might need it for tomorrow. Got a big day in the Great Pyramid.
Up at 4 a.m. as well? Huh?
Yeah, up at 4 tomorrow. Getting on another plane because we're here in the Red Sea, Hurghada. Actually took a day off today. It was our first day off in, for me, 3 weeks. Yeah,
because you did the route. So the Great Pyramid tomorrow, what our objective is there is that if you've been following along with the story, what we've been uncovering is that the Egypt structures were a pre-fall architecture. When the fall came, the Egyptian culture came afterwards, found them, and then, like many of our human history, have placed their own cultural artifacts and icons and pieces over top of a lot of the existing temple structures. The existing temple structures had the purpose of bringing down flame plasma into the earth grids to make oversoul descent easier and smoother, and hold the civilizational blueprints for a Christed civilization. What we have primed all of these fields, and tomorrow we're going to the Giza Plateau, where the capital city of that sort of Christed civilization pre-fall, sort of around about 52,000 years ago, before the fall, is where the peak of that civilization was, sitting right there. And there's a large vault that is waiting to be opened, not a physical vault, but let's call it a vault of plasma flame. And that plasma flame is this frequency current that is the connection of source consciousness here coming through the planet. Most of our planet has been inflicted with this mimic and mirror frequency, which is synthetic consciousness. And this synthetic consciousness has basically engulfed our planet to ensure that it becomes a sort of a prison planet of both consciousness, and they're able to extract energy to feed off human discordance and dissonance energy. So the flame that we're aiming to awaken in Vault 001 is the first large, big firewall to bring back that eternal source flame consciousness on the planet, so that people can remember much easier what the Christic flame, what Christic consciousness feels like. And it will act as a massive firewall and actually move through all of this land that we've been, and send that current through all the temples that are here to light up the area. And so that is kind of the objective, and I think we're pretty much on track for achieving that. And people might be skeptical and say it sounds crazy, but all I say is, hey, let your nervous system bones feel what might be different in 3 months from now, and see what you can feel, because it's a faster vibration and frequency that has a eternal connection to source, rather than mirror recursion like we're existing in at the moment.
Yeah, so we're off to the pyramid tomorrow. It's our big final last day, and you can that'll be our next video. And you can also follow along at dollarbridgelani.com/flamekeepers if you want,
or not.
Or not. Yeah, we don't care.
Good.
We don't care. Do whatever you want. That's the cult we're in.
Yep.
Where nothing is quite as it seems. What's real when you drown in misery? Someone else's dream.
Puerto Vallarta, here we come. Vamos.
Palm trees whisper, freedom in the breeze. Oceans hymn, no chains, no pleas, no rulers, no kings, no scripts to recite. Burn the old book, let the phoenix ignite. Rebirth on the sand, where the rebels convene. A Genesis scene, mind sharp and keen. Dollars to dust, trust Ideas ricochet, no permission, no stint. Borders dissolve, minds expand, every soul sovereign, every mind grand, no contract signed, just a handshake truth. Ancient wisdom reborn in the fountain of youth. Rules crumble like castles at high tide. Revolution lives where the dreamers reside. Golden horizon, the birth of the free. Echoes of laughter, the waves decree. Freedom is anthem, a beat in the chest. Anarchapulco where the restless rest. Anarchapulco where the spirit flies. New dawn, breaking under open skies. No masters, no limits, no chains to choke. This is freedom's fight, and Acapulco spoke. Anarchapulco where the spirit flies. New dawn, breaking under open skies. No masters, no limits, no chains to choke. This is freedom's fight, and Acapulco spoke.
With performing artist Ayame.
I don't need a muse or anything to do. Probably just get canceled 'cause I'm singing about the truth. Feels like we're getting wiser, don't you? Since the lies that they blew up, now nobody trusts the news.
Anarchapulco opening party on February 15th. Anarchapulco Genesis, February 16th to 20th. A special Free Systems Leadership Summit by Dr. Shiva's Truth Freedom Health Network, February 18th and 19th. The Dollar Vigilante TDV Summit, February 21st. The Crypto Vigilante TCV Summit, February 22nd. Agorapulco, retreats, and other excursions, February 21st to 27th. Bufo and other plant medicines with bear heart throughout the event. A special Iboga ceremony with Christoph Melchizedek from February 23rd. Bring the whole family. The Anarchapulco Family Camp runs throughout the event with activities for non-lethally injected, free-range, unschooled pure souls. Anarchapulco 2026. Genesis. Puerto Vallarta,